10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Visage.
Radiant team pick. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Well, I hope you guys are ready because we're about to get into Game 2 of Fnatic versus Team Empire after what was a damn entertaining Game 1 with Fnatic struggling a little bit in the early game but somehow making all the right plays to be able to grab themselves back into the game. Still ends up being tightly contested, but in the end, Empire proved to be just a little bit too powerful with their pickoffs, and we're getting to get a game into... yep, that's happening right now. Game 2 coming up, and I can welcome in my co-caster so I can stop speaking and maybe untie my tongue. Clairvoyant's going to be casting with me.
Yeah, man. Game 2, Empire taking out the Wisp as well as the Venomancer. Two picks that I would say pretty much sum up Fnatic in a lot of important matches. They always opt to go for the Wisp more so than anybody else. And, you know, Fnatic Wisp rather, is something that every single team seems to be recognizing as a force to be reckoned with. So, no real surprises there. The Venomancer's pick, or ban, pardon me, a little bit surprising to me. But nevertheless, Fnatic have demonstrated themselves to pick that hero as well rather often. And no real surprises on the other hand coming out of the Nyx Assassin as well as the Apparition ban. Pretty much two of the top flavor of the month heroes, possibly the best heroes in the metagame right now.
Yeah, Ancient Apparition is just seen a rise unlike many other heroes are be able to replicate it, just going from never being picked up to all the way to first ban for against certain teams. So we are going to see an Invoker, Fnatic Invoker being picked up as their very, very first pick. So another hero who has seen quite the rise from never being seen at all, but thanks to a couple of choice buffs, is now being seen quite a lot. First the Exor build with thanks to pretty much just thanks to Forge Spirits, because Forge Spirits are
pretty much
OP, obnoxious, and everything else. But now Quas Wex coming back into the meta game, and we're going to see Visage Storm Spirit and now Doom being picked up by Fnatic. Another hero, again, just to counter the Storm Spirit, just like Fnatic did last time in the draft.
Oh yeah, and honestly, that hero will never really be put out of success when it comes to doing what he does. In terms of shutting down heroes and maintaining a teamfight presence still, after investing just one spell to shut down somebody completely, there are no other heroes that can parallel what he does. And quite frankly, I still do feel like he is top pick material depending on the lineup you have planned for yourselves, or the strategy and possibly the playstyle you play around. But yeah, Invoker first pick, no real surprises there either. I mean, you mentioned about the Fire Spirits being obnoxious, but now he's just obnoxious in another form, which is in the Wex Quas build. That Tornado EMP buff to the 2.6 second constant on the EMP, as well as, well, I guess Tornado itself didn't get too many buffs, but just the synergy being existent and being so prevalent in some of these games in shutting down teamfights as a whole, it is incredible. And speaking of which, Visage, of course, does similar functions. Now, I do want to point out one thing, though. We saw a demonstration of the Puck versus Storm Spirit matchup, and I know it's kind of hard to take a lot out of that because, once again, as we touched upon it so often, the level 1 engagement cost Hani deeply, and it was just a wound that he couldn't repel with time. It just didn't go away because it put him at such a bad footing. But Invoker versus Storm has a very similar aura to it, in a sense that if the Invoker plays aggressive enough, he can actually zone out Storm Spirit alone with the potential cold snap as well as the second spell and solo kill possibility. But at the same time, mid game comes, if they remain stale on the farm, or if they stay even on the farm rather, the Storm Spirit has a chance to own up the Invoker, because in the same way he owns up all the other intel heroes, he jumps in at a time you don't expect, he orchids you up with the instance of one click, and then all of a sudden you are sitting duck. So we'll see if that comes to pass, or if the Doom can counter up the Storm just as well as it did, or it attempted to last game, or if Empire has something else up in their sleeves. And as I say that, Ember Spirit's not taking a single mention in this series so far.
Yeah, this is, I actually completely forgot about that here, even though I've seen him a couple times today. He either seems to be either first ban, first pick, or not seen at all. Maybe other people are just kind of forgetting about him too, or aren't really comfortable with him just yet. We're going to see the Luna picked up by Team Empire, so now with the strong initiation, you've got the one, a strong player in each, a strong hero in each role. So you've got a strong laning support in Visage, a good ganking style hero with your mid Storm Spirit, and now you've got a strong late game carry in the Luna. Empire feels very, very balanced so far, but I mean, Luna is still another squishy hero that can definitely be kind of taken out by Doom. I feel like the Doom being picked up early, maybe you think twice about grabbing the Luna carry, despite her her popularity in the meta right now, being one of the strongest carries right along Lifestealer. Maybe you think twice about that. I mean, Doom, Luna is already a very, very squishy hero, depending heavily on BKB. If Doom is able to get that initiation and throw down that BKB, or throw down the Doom before the BKB is up, or even after it's up, before Eclipse goes off, you completely ruin the team fight of Empire, and then just able to chase down that hero. On top of that, Doom's another big tanky hero, and people love tanky heroes up against the Luna.
And I understand your concerns, of course. Luna is somewhat squishy and pretty susceptible to damage, especially when it comes in the form of massive bursts like Doom as well as Invoker. But at the same time, it is kind of hard to punish that hero. Once again, all the other factors that she brings to the table with the Luna Blessing as well as nighttime vision, amongst other things, it's not necessarily compromised by her early game weaknesses. And her early game weaknesses can be repelled pretty nicely with the addition of a couple nice items, and BKB just happens to be one of the best in that regard. Now, I do want to touch upon Fnatic's lineup though. Abaddon, Lord of Avernus, in my opinion, it still should still maintain King as one of the best heroes in the metagame. And with all the slapstick action going around and how teams are just battering each other back and forth, I really feel like Avernus has a time to shine and has a greater window of opportunity to shine than before. Because I remember like Sigma used to pick this hero rather religiously, and then Sigma recently fell off in a sense that they haven't been winning as many games as they used to. And all of a sudden, Lord of Avernus kind of just fell into his nether darkness regions, where he was a niche pickup to counter up massive stuns and seldom forms of burst damage. But really, I really feel like the hero is fantastic. I do agree that he needs a couple specific heroes to work with. For example, like Weaver is really good working with Abaddon. But I don't know. I feel like teams should explore this hero a little bit more often, because this guy, man, the way he changes team fights in your favor, man, it's incredible, to say the least.
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of those points. I've been a big Abaddon fan for quite a long time. I've always been calling for him as a strong support. However, I think the rise of him was really when we first kind of got into 7-9 and everybody thought dual lanes was going to be really, really popular with the creep equilibrium change and all that sort of thing. And Abaddon is pretty much, bar none in my mind, the best off-lane support hero you can ask for, but at the same time doesn't really provide that much when we're talking about laning phase wise. I mean, he can throw down a shield, and that can definitely turn some team fights, but it feels like he's so situational, and there's definitely not a whole lot of offense available to you unless certain situational heroes like Weaver, you actually able to get a little bit more aggressive because of the shield. But it feels like for the most part he just isn't really strong enough in the laning phase for people to really consider him, considering how important the laning phase can be. Fnatic also picking up a disruptor on top of that. I mean, another hero who does very, very little in the laning phase compared to many other supports, and is also very, very defensive. Empire, can they run an aggressive tri-lane against that? They've already got the Visage and Luna.
It's certainly a possibility. With the addition of a Crystal Maiden, it would have been possible to a greater extent. Now, Fnatic has noticed that and banned it out, of course. There are still other supports available. Do they want to commit to the aggressive tri-lane, though, is a different issue on its own. They picked the Clockwork, and I feel like Clockwork would actually do really, really well against the off lane of Fnatic. As you said, there's not too much in terms of lane pressure coming out of Fnatic, but it does kind of
5
resonate
seconds
a
remaining.
little bit with regards to their last game pickups, where they had these heroes and supports that could
Reserve
scale
time.
with a couple items, but never really got around to getting those things or getting the ball rolling. And
Fnatic's
Silencer being the
turn to
pickup,
pick.
that hero, of course, could sometimes be seen the difference maker for the team or for the opposition. And over again, Centaur, that the kind of aggression that comes out of that lineup is immense. But at the same time, Empire have the right pieces to shut it down, especially in the Clockwork.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Is Cogs going up against this lineup with Doom, Centaur? Like, you have all this aggression with the Centaur ultimate and them running in, but Cogs is going to be a very, very disruptive factor. And then on top of that, that'll allow other things to happen. For example, Silencer popping his ultimate, Luna getting ready to pop that Eclipse. Now, Blink Dagger is probably going to be pretty necessary unless they're going to rely entirely on Smoke Initiation, Glimpse Pickoffs, and Tornado EMP. I think a Blink Dagger up on both Centaur and Doom is probably going to be for the best here. That way they do have that instant initiation, because otherwise I see a lot of work around here for Team Empire. Not only the Silencer ultimate, but the two mobility heroes, Clockwork and Storm Spirit, can definitely do a lot to respond if you don't have that kind of instant initiation.
I've always felt there's, like, of course, back when Silencer was introduced in his new form with the reworked Last Word, a lot of pros, especially, like, including myself, and I can't deny this one, we speculated that the hero was going to borderline imbalance just because of the sheer amount of burst damage he can put out. Especially the mid-game meta back then was like, you have to win the mid and then you can dominate the game. But Silencer is just one of those heroes that don't provide too much of a presence when it comes to the mid-late game stages, because he is stale and he doesn't have somewhat of a mobility. So what ends up happening is he puts himself in a liable situation to ganks a lot of times. And the thing is, the hero can still play extremely aggressive, but he can get punished just as well for it, which is why he doesn't get too much competitive play. But I really feel like the Last Word, for example, it's just, I feel like it's not punishing enough, honestly, because it takes so long for it to actually kick in with the burst damage as well as the silence and possibly the disarm duration.
30 seconds
It's
to battle.
I don't know. Empire can possibly use it to the full with the buff up and the global silence lasting the extra second, and we've seen team fights turn around because of that global silence specifically. But it's been a while since I've seen the Silencer glory days, and I'd be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised actually if Empire can put it out, because they've been making everything seem like they can work these days.
Yeah, Vanscore's Silencer is amazing, and I love especially the way he builds it. He almost builds it into a semi-carry build where he actually ignores Curse of the Silent, or only goes one level of it. And actually maxes out his glaives after Last Word, because glaives is actually another really strong ability on Silencer. Two good abilities in Last Word and Glaives of Wisdom, because it allows you to get in that early harassment without drawing aggro from the tower. It's actually very, very good against any sort of offlaner, any situation where you're just able to get free hits off. Silencer and the Glaives of Wisdom will prove the difference, and no hero can really man up against you. But looks like we are going to be seeing, and maybe this is another situation where Glaives is actually going to be pretty powerful. Supports have a hard time harassing in middle, but because of this lack of aggro, thanks to the orb effect of Glaives of Wisdom, this is actually going to allow Vanscore to sit pretty aggressively forward and attack Hani without actually receiving any damage from the creeps.
And honestly, this is actually just a straight up strategical outmaneuver. They saw Hani had the X-Sword, and they must have predetermined this before they came into the game with the draft specifically. But they put the carry in the mid position up against Hani, who's only been pulled 2 pieces of regen. Silencer with that Glaives of Wisdom will burn through that no problem, and it actually forces Hani to go Quas second. A lot of times we'll actually see the Quas second because Invoker actually wants to get his hands on the immediate regen. But at the same time, it will shut down and give Hani a little bit of a power struggle when it comes to this lane and maintaining presence, because the Silencer is just so good at harassing and zoning out targets with that Glaives of Wisdom. And we're seeing it play here.
Yeah, it's definitely doing a lot of work to Hani so far, not being able to come forward and pick up too much CS, only sitting at 1 right now, a minute and a half into the game. Clockwork's having a good time at top, going up against the Doom. He just cogged himself inside with Trixie, and that's a little bit of a mistake. But for the most part, he should do well against the Disruptor Doom combo. That's not too much to fear. Meanwhile, the dual lane coming out from Empire with the Storm Spirit and Visage should do just fine. Double ranged against double melee. Sure, Fnatic will be able to survive in this lane and even be able to pick up some CS on the Centaur, but Storm Spirit should have a CS lead, and it's beginning to show. Both Storm Spirit and Luna taking the top 2 CS on the board right now.
Yeah, and you know what? Empire are playing this beautifully. Now this Abaddon versus Abaddon Centaur combination, it's very reminiscent of something like a Tuskar Centaur or a Tuskar Abaddon even. It's two strength heroes that have an extreme amount of brute force in the early stages that can get to your hero and pretty much 100 to 0 you. And Empire, they're not committing any extra bits of mana for this. All they're doing is just abusing their range and right-clicking their opposition as much as possible. And what this forces is that at one point, Fnatic's gonna get so low. Hold that thought. Speaking of people getting low, Silence.
Silent gonna go down. Vanscore unable to finish off Hani there. That was a really, really well executed bait. Hani was actually kind of baiting himself out because he knew Disruptor was coming in from the side. So when they try and get aggressive on him, especially with that haste rune, he ends up baiting them into no tail. All he had to do was just leave the Forge Spirit there to be able to provide that extra damage. And just a couple of auto attacks, no tail easily can get that kill on Silent, especially with the lack of armor thanks to Forge Spirit. So all he had to do was just throw down a kinetic field and they're guaranteed to pick up the kill. Hani played that beautifully because he actually backed up with just one hit left. Another auto attack from Vanscore, and he would have actually traded to kill there. But instead, they pick up first blood, and Hani looking much better than he was just 2 minutes prior.
Sitting at a very nice state right now. I do just want to refer back to my point, but as I say that, there is an engagement on Always Want to Fly. He will pop the Grave Chill and create the movement speed difference, but soon to be repelled off by the Abaddon Aphotic Shield coming in. And of course, once again, if their life points are just always sitting below a certain point, they're going to be really afraid to engage because one, Storm Spirit is actually really good at melee low-level engagements because he has that Remnant as well as the burst damage to follow. And speaking of burst damage, what better burst damage follow-up than a Visage? So Fnatic are going to have to be very careful. I understand that this lane, they kind of want to just secure the Centaur farm and levels, but they possibly couldn't gotten kills, and speaking of which, no tail round 2 at mid lane.
Yeah, Forge Spirit is just doing so much work. Sunstrike and another auto attack will be able to get it, and he got him. Hani, they grab both the heroes in the dual lane. Forge Spirit, we forget about it sometimes, man, but with the rise of Quas Wex, but Forge Spirit is doing so much work in this lane right now. Sure, before he had it, he was kind of getting messed up quite a bit, but oh my goodness, could you ask for a better rune too? Not only do they pick up some kills bottom though, they were able to finish off Storm Spirit. Always Want to Fly turning and fighting. This is a bad idea. He has no armor. Every single auto attack is doing work. Sunstrike gonna miss, as Always Want to Fly has a really smart play there, cutting through the trees and cutting downward to dodge it.
Yeah, that was actually a really, really sick move. If he kept going straight, at one point he's going to get tanked the Sunstrike, possibly hesitated for a second, and allow Centaur to close the distance. But once again, that's just the power of that dual lane melee slash strength hero combination. A lot of strength heroes just have higher base stats to the point where they can always take up an early game aggression to you. And it might not seem like the best of synergies, but if they can close the distance like what Era is doing right now, they have no problems following up with damage. And of course, Always Want to Fly round 2. This time he's caught out a little bit more.
Yep, Kinetic Field gonna hold him in place. The Aphotic Shield holding Era just above the line, and Resolution can't even turn thanks to the Abaddon. So nice turnaround. No tail gonna bring him back. Era and the chop. No! Resolution barely able to get away from the Sunstrike, and the health potion keeps him alive through Disruptor's last hit. And will be able to get out, but still Fnatic making good rotations. They won middle lane thanks to the Forge Spirit and the rotations of I can't believe I'm saying this, but thanks to the rotations of Disruptor. Somehow this guy has managed to be the difference maker in every single one of these lanes, being able to put some pressure on top, gank middle, and win that lane for Invoker, and now winning bottom as well for the rest of Fnatic.
Yeah, I think we don't want to underestimate Disruptor's damage capabilities in the early stages. I mean, he's not a Crystal Maiden in the similar sense that he has burst as well as a slow early on, or possibly a stun. But he does have 160 total damage coming out of his level 1 Thunderstrike, although it is kind of spread out in the form of a duration, more so than burst. But more importantly, when he gets that level 2, that kinetic field can function as a pretty nice root or a shackle of sorts, and just bound the targets that they're looking for, if placed appropriately, of course. And yeah, No-Tail is just doing a really good job with his rotations. I think this is also a good demonstration of the difference that the Silencer can't make in the early stages, that he can do a really good job zoning out targets and right-clicking. But similar to a Skywrath Mage, there are limitations to the function until the level 6 kick in, whether it comes, oh, well that thought, clockwork.
Yep, he jumps in, Mag finds the pick off. He picks up level 6 and immediately rotates middle though. Oh, Trixie does the same though as Vanscore. He's gonna get picked off. The deny attempt gonna come out from Silent, does not get it. And Trixie dives the tower and gonna be able to pick it up thanks to the tick out of Doom. So a 1-for-1 exchange, not bad. Both heroes rotating, both sides rotating into the middle lane. And nothing really lost that bad for Fnatic.
Now, I want to point out that there was a little bit of RNG luck in favor of Fnatic there. Basically, Hani's attack was in mid-animation.
Resolution gets kicked off at bottom. We'll get to your point in a second, Hera. Phonic's shield is going to be able to keep him alive against Always Wanna Fly, blocking him out away from this little corridor that he wanted to run down, and Vance Core can do nothing. He's not an active enough support in these engagements. No nuke is being thrown down. He's mainly a passive support in lane that has good constant pressure, but not able to respond to this flat-out aggression that Fnatic is applying.
Exactly. As soon as you engage right on top of a silencer, more often than not, he is dead meat. Now, the point I was just trying to make is that at the mid lane, what ended up happening was Hani, his projectile was in mid-air, and Silent had timed it so that once the projectile landed, he would get the deny 100% with his high base damage. But Hani's attack actually missed with a 25% uphill miss, which allowed Trixie to secure the kill with the Doom. Yeah, that was actually somewhat of a big deal, because Trixie would not have had his Vanguard complete without that gold. But he does now, and he can jungle freely.
Oh,
and
man.
Now at the bottom. Yep,
Jumps in before Abaddon has that level 6, but the turnaround, Static Storm didn't expect Disruptor to be able to have that ultimate. Now Fly after that kill will pop his ultimate. Meanwhile, Centaur Stomp is being heard. Vance Core in a little bit of trouble, and we do have that big nuke coming in. Double Edge, oh, not able to secure it, and Silencer will be able to walk away. I think he would have been able to live.
Yeah, it's magical damage. It would have gotten reduction, and then Silencer would have walked out with like 20 HP.
Yeah.
So good attempt by Era, but this is the power of the Avernus. And honestly, I feel like it has a little bit to do with the draft on the side of Empire. Once again, their heroes are not exactly they're very susceptible to early game pressure, and not exactly the most survivable in that sense. But they're pinging out Hani right now at the mid lane, and unfortunately for Resolution, there's not much follow up. On the other hand, Fnatic has a ton of follow up, and Always Wanna Fly will go down specifically to that.
Yeah, completely surrounding him there. They saw him going for the wards, and now even a smoke up. Fnatic are not making any stops right now. Like, No Tail doesn't have his ultimate. Era just used his. Doesn't matter. They're going to keep on going, man. No slowing this pain train, as Mag is actually sitting here in middle, making sure that the Storm Spirit does pick up some levels, and maybe even thinking about picking off the Invoker. But seeing how every single Mag hook has gone kind of awry so far, thanks to all the counter ganking and ganking of Fnatic, they've been in a good position. Hold that. Invoker brought back, or excuse me, Storm Spirit brought back into the Static Storm, and that's going to be an easy kill. Disruptor, this is the part, I mean, if you thought Disruptor was being pretty effective early with all these sort of rotations, just wait till you see a maxed out Glimpse plus Static Storm against some of these heroes. The Storm Spirit especially, super susceptible to that combo. Luna, also very susceptible until she has that BKB. And if this means that Storm Spirit has to go a BKB item first, that is really bad for their damage going into the mid game.
Yeah, it certainly shuts down a lot of potential pressure they can put out. Once again, the Glimpse combination in conjunction with the Static Storm as well as the Kinetic Field. Silence shuts down a Storm pretty hard, and that's exactly what happened. Of course, with the heroes that Empire have, they're still not out of the game. They can do a lot of work in the mid-game stages if their next rotation goes successful. Because if things like this happen at the top lane where Mag might fall, luckily he doesn't, of course, and No Tail doesn't have the Glimpse to follow up anymore, so Mag will be getting out safely. But if they can secure towers or some objectives here, they can come back into this game, and Hani looks like the next target.
Yep, this is going to be a great pick off for them. They go ahead, they grab both of the... Oh no! Centaur ultimate goes out, and Hani, with the Aphotic Shield coming into play, he's actually going to be fine. The question is, can they turn this at all? Doesn't look like it. Fnatic are still going for that top tower. Well, I say tower, actually Mag. Gonna get Glimpse back. Oh, Mag teleports though. Static Storm will be able to buy him a little bit of time. Trixie trying to walk away. Silence does have that ultimate if he could just get it disabled, but there are none. Now Storm Spirit. Back, No Tail will get popped there as the Silencer ultimate goes down, and Trixie might just go down here. They don't have Era, they don't have any ultimates just yet. And Empire looks like they're going to be able to walk away. Both teams kind of suffering from the fact that they don't have like Glimpse being thrown down from Disruptor and Storm Spirit and Clockwork being able to have initiation. But other than that, the supports specifically do not have ranged stuns, and that is
exactly
a bit of a problem.
As we saw, fine demonstration there. It's just not enough burst, not enough instantaneous disables. The silence is really fantastic in situations where the enemy engages on you and all of a sudden they get shut down and they can't do anything with their mana. But in a situation where you're chasing after targets, what does it really offer you? And this is what's the problem. Like these support heroes that are being picked up these days, they not only innately synergize, but they provide an ulterior function, one that expands the horizons. For example, maybe an AA blast that can go across the map, maybe something like a clockwork initiation in similar form. Visage can use the familiars, and hold that thought, the glimpse coming back on Mag again. Does miss this time, but will they get the kill or will they rotate back? And it looks like they're just coming back amidst all the TPs coming in. But yet again, Cap, we're just seeing it. These innate synergy heroes that just don't provide enough because they have limitations on the map. It's not enough at this point, and Mag does a really, really nice play at bottom lane there if you saw it.
Yeah, he was kind of shadowing Era, looks over, and because of that ward, he goes, wait a minute, there's an invis rune. I don't want Era to have that. That's actually really, really scary because it gives Era just what he needs, right? He needs that instant initiation. Him with a blink dagger could absolutely wreck. So him using a hook shot, maybe he doesn't get a kill for it, but it's just as important there. Him making sure Silent is pretty much a guaranteed kill. Era jumping in, now gonna go on Silent. Now the ultimate going down as well. He's gonna get bursted down. Sunstrike not even needed there. Now Vanscore next on the list. Glimpse back into all 5 heroes. And Vanscore is definitely gonna go down. The rest of Empire have nothing better to do than just try and do a little bit of split push. Because gonna be dead. Trixie actually, instead of going for a blink dagger here, this is pretty interesting, and I do like Force Staff in these situations where you have a hero who's very, very combat oriented. Instead of going for a blink dagger, go for a Force Staff.
Certainly odd in comparison to what he did last game because the blink dagger proved to be so effective, but I guess this game he either felt he didn't really need it as much, maybe he wants to push somebody else on his team in, or he has the stampede, so maybe the gap closing aspect is covered. But I wanted to point out one other interesting thing is that this combination of Abaddon plus the Centaur they're using, we've seen the double edge come in for the last hit or the finishing executing blow, if you would, so many times, and a lot of it's because Fly is putting the aphotic shield on Era, and what the shield is doing is it actually explodes in contact with the double edge because Centaur does damage to himself, so it bursts the target not only for 400 but for possibly 600. And speaking of burst, Noto getting pretty low.
Yeah, no tail. Mag is actually going to jump in. Great Force Staff, though, is going to be able to save him. Last Word might take him out, but Mag is definitely going to pay for it. Last Word does not enough to be able to finish off No Tail. Meanwhile, on the side, Resolution being mass being Tawny. I'm not sure what kind of initiation that was, but Resolution should know by now that they definitely do see him, and it's going to jump away. I'm sure what Sunstrike does there, but Vanscore, oh man, you can't get close. You cannot get in vision of a disruptor. When heroes like Fnatic, when they're just running at a tower, don't get in vision, man. You know you're gonna get glimpsed back the moment they see you, and you're just gonna get overrun.
Yeah, he basically got bursted 100-0, and honestly, what can Empire do to contest right now? They lost the early game with heroes that they had invested to win the early game so badly that Fnatic have a death ball going, and this death ball is literally uncompromised by anything that Empire can throw at them right now. The Storm Spirit without the Orchid, it's not enough. The Visage with level 1 familiars, not enough. The Luna sitting here with the Treads, Midas, and a Wraith Band, simply not enough to survive or do damage that she needs to dish out at this point because Fnatic are just infinitely ahead, and Mag dying here, certainly not going to help the issue.
Yeah, Mag doomed up, and now the Sunstrike as well coming in, and nothing they can do to stop it. And it feels like, yeah, just going back to it, looks like they actually grabbed the Storm Spirit as well. That's actually a huge pickoff because that was just 2 supports going on a Storm Spirit. I was like, how did they do that? Top though, Era getting gone on by Visage is actually behind the tier 1 tower, but he's so tanky with that Vanguard, it doesn't really matter at all. You need several heroes, and 2 of the cores are already dead from Empire.
Fnatic are playing a very pub-stompy style of Dota with these picks, and honestly, they're doing exactly that. Empire is getting pretty much pub-stomped right now, and I don't mean that to be an offensive or a rude manner. It's just, it seems like that's how the game is panning out, just because they're getting literally rolled over by the Stampede as well as the Death Ball that Fnatic are throwing at them, and they have absolutely no responses to this stage in the game. 16 minutes on, already 18 kills for Fnatic, and the kill difference being actually 16. With the Aegis on the back of Fnatic's right now, Cap, I really wouldn't be surprised if the next big engagement, Empire come out of a loss and proceed to GG out. It might be a little bit early in terms of timers, But at the same time, there is just so much limitations being put on you right now because you have no space to operate with your carry heroes, and you have no room to engage on any of Fnatic's heroes because of the potential turnaround.
Yeah, and it's not like Empire have anything, or yes, they do have some pretty good late game in their own with the Luna and the Storm Spirit. Both of them late game viable, and especially that Luna being a decent carry. However, with the immediate item progression is, right, BKB up on Luna. That's the important thing. But even then, where's your offense? If you pop Eclipse, look how many big tanky heroes, we didn't mention this, I thought about it in the draft, look how many big tanky heroes are up on Fnatic. You got the Centaur, really high strength gain. Doom, decently a big health pool, even though he might lack on armor. Magic Nuke's not a problem because he has such a high health pool. And then you've got the ultimate tank, a Baden, right? He gets low, he pops his ultimate, even he sees the Eclipse, maybe immediately pops the ultimate, just to make sure he doesn't even go down low at all. Soaks up that damage. Eclipse is pretty much useless, and that's your big team fight ability. All the rest of the heroes are just initiation or some sort of utility. Your big damage dealing is coming out from Silent.
And here it is, the commitment of an over 2-minute cooldown spell on the global silence, used for one purpose specifically, to save the Storm Spirit that's pushing against a melee hero like Centaur, who normally doesn't come with mobility built into him, barring the ultimate. So we can say that Empire's situation right now is grave, to say the least.
Yeah, it's going to take quite the turtle fest to be able to come back into this game.
Yeah, if they can, of course. Fnatic are ready to begin pushing the issue. Hani has picked up his Orchid this time. He's looking to be the predator on resolution, saying, I know you tried to pull up some fancy moves on me last game, but that's not going to come to pass. I see you still don't have BKB and you're stuck in your early game stages, whereas I, in my Invoker, with my sexy hair and my level 11 and my team to back me up, are ready to push the issue.
Oh, Mag. Oh, he tried to throw out the hook shot, but there goes that Static Storm, perfectly timed by No Tail. And that means just yet another pickoff. Going back to that, if you have ever seen Hani in person, he's come into the office a couple times. That sexy hair that Invoker's rocking is just perfect for Hani playing it.
Yeah, it's pretty much a reflection, I would say.
Oh, Centaur can actually jump in. Oh, Jesus. Look at that damage. Always want to fly. Also going to go down here. You called it earlier. The double edge with the aphotic shield. That is so much burst damage. Pretty much Silent went from full health to nothing in just 2 nukes. Resolution going to go down from Doom as well. Won't even be denied while Mag gets close enough. Oh, he tried to hook shot to get close enough for the auto attack. But maybe if he'd thrown it a second earlier, that could have been a big play. But now it just means hook shots on cooldown.
Once again, there's the glimpse back, and Trixie showing no signs of stopping here. Now, he doesn't want to go up high ground yet. I think it'll be a little bit bold on his part, but Fly is not showing cares as well, because he's got the borrowed time and he's popped it up, triggered it to allow himself to regen up a little bit more as they pressure the tier 2 tower some more.
Yep, both the tier 2 in middle and top should be going down here, as I imagine the rotation from Hani and Era will go into that mid lane with the Aegis. Maybe they think about going uphill, always want to fly. Why you just don't come down the cliff when there's a when there is a goddamn disruptor, man. Don't go forward like that. There is no, like, Disruptor excels at being able to stop those kind of spam heroes or come out, throw down one nuke, because all he needs is Thunderstrike or Vision, and then it's just the inevitable. No matter what you do, no matter where you run, you're gonna get glimpsed back and you're gonna get picked off.
Yeah, Disruptor, once again, is just one of those support heroes that really do fit the qualifications with the innate synergy and scaling as well, because most of the time the Disruptor Glimpse, it's 1800 cast range, and that's the full daytime vision that you're given in the extent of this specific support hero. But at nighttime, you don't really have vision. Now, Fnatic have a really nice ward placed right between the tier 2, or what the tier 2 would have been right now if it was alive. I'm going to hold that thought because Fnatic are going in again.
Yep, jumping in, Vanscourt, they want to try and finish him off before he can get off his ultimate, and they are successful. Meanwhile, Mag getting gone on by Doom. That's going to be a longer, drawn-out death. But Mag should still fall. Maybe the attempt to deny Visage Familiars, not going to be able to get it. They tried, but couldn't quite get it in range. Maybe miscommunication. Mag didn't really run to the Familiars, but rather away from them. And, what? Fnatic are destroying, right? They're doing great, ahead by gold. I just now noticing the kill score. 2 to 25?
Yeah, honestly, this kind of aggression lineup when you're facing up against so many strength melees, and I've experienced a lot of these myself, so I know how powerful it can be once they get the ball rolling. It's like these lineups, they just don't die at one point. And the thing is, no matter how well you do to try and turtle, if you don't have what it takes like this, Vanscore, you just get popped. 100-0, bursted down, no responses whatsoever.
And now even Resolution in trouble, doesn't have the BKB to be able to defend himself and well get popped as well. Silent already blowing his ultimate, doesn't have enough damage to be able to finish off some of these squishies. Visage lending a hand to be able to finish off No Tail and Fly, so that is a bit of a turnaround there as Fnatic kind of overextend themselves. I mean, quite a bit. 22 minutes in, you're diving past tier 3s, almost into tier 4s. That's just getting greedy.
Yeah, I think between the tier 3 and the tier 4 towers, both, like, those things right there did about upwards 2,000 teamfight damage. And I know Abaddon was able to soak up quite a bit, but he wasn't. Silent getting caught up. Yeah, that's the situation once again. You can't leave your base at this point. And the Turtle Fest only becomes valid if you wait for an opportunity to rise, and that kind of opportunity is only created or given to you by Fnatic. Because if Fnatic never had committed that deep and they just let some of their heroes kind of soak up a little bit of damage and kind of do damage to the tower, they could eventually wear it down. But as it stands, you give that kind of an advantage or that kind of turnaround possible for Empire, all of a sudden, you know, you are giving away quite a bit when you don't have to. And speaking of which, Fly is getting initiated on at the mid lane, but Resolution knows, man. Without the Orchid, without the burst damage, you're not going to take out the Abaddon with the borrowed time.
Yeah, he sees that one teleport and it immediately backs up. Hani now has a Blink Dagger on top of the Orchid, so look for him to be able to jump along with the rest of his allies. I mean, he already got 2 different Blinks up from Centaur and, well, actually 4 staff up on Trixie, but you already have those 2 big initiators. Then you throw Hani in the mix as well, and just a simple, like, Forge Spirit Cold Snap combo. These heroes without BKB are just going to get destroyed. So Luna trying to finish that up. Silent maybe going to farm Ancients for those couple of last hits, but at this point in time, yeah, sure, the magic damage is pretty scary from Fnatic, but they're also hitting pretty hard now with so many different items. Era now has a Linken's up on him, and Exort Invoker is always scary in auto attack damage, and with the double damage, it looks even worse. He's hitting over 300 damage a hit. Trixie is beginning to become that hard-hitting physical damage carry. Once he has that AC, he's actually going to be pretty threatening with that Wolfpack aura, but Silent gonna get caught out. The Silencer ultimate does go down and delays this damage, but it won't ultimately prevent it. As Era finally does get the chance to throw down that double edge. They're actually going to go for more here as Hani's going to get in front of him, and Vanscore will get picked off.
That should be high ground.
What else to say, man.
This is, once again, Fnatic running over their opposition. This should be really, really easy high ground coming out of Fnatic. They have the Aegis, they have all the spells to back it up. Hani's just picked himself a point booster. And mid lane.
Desperate. This is just desperate. Trixie has a Vanguard and so much armor, and yet they still try and jump him before the rest of Fnatic get here, because they know once the 5-man Fnatic is up, they're done for. Always want to fly, he's going to fall. Storm Spirit, the only hero left alive right now for Empire, and this should be a very, very easy set of racks and an early GG coming out from Empire. 5-32, 25 minutes in, 21,000 gold lead already for Fnatic, and about the same in experience as well. These Blinks, even No Tail has one now as Vanscore falls once again. Resolution getting pushed out of the kinetic field, but it doesn't matter now. Silent getting back to the fountain, but not even the fountain can protect you against this kind of mass initiation from Fnatic. If they want to, they can dive you, no problem. Silent, yeah, he moves inches out of his fountain, and instantly he's dead. They all come in from the racks, ultimate going down. Silent trying to do what he can. No Tail is going to fall here, the big feeder, but Trixie and the rest of the crew should be able to get out as Era is just going to town right now. Finishing off one, now going to get the second one as well. Mag falls, and Era still at half health. No problem. Farming heroes in front of the fountain, doesn't matter.
Now, it's... oh, more action.
That's okay. This is just cleanup. Let's be honest. The clairvoyance, you talk about the draft, you analyze this game, because watching Fnatic, this is just going to be them constantly killing heroes over and over again.
Right, and honestly, to simplify it, against this kind of lineup, once again, all you have to do is not die in the early stages and not lose your laning phase too hard, because all of a sudden you'll have the hero difference with the spells on the ranged heroes to be able to withstand this kind of a death ball at one point, and possibly just disrupt it so much that the death ball will never establish. Now the result is that from 2 to 25, we go 6 to 40, and the GG coming out at 26 minutes into the game. You know, lately, Cap, we've been seeing a lot of these 2-game series, and it just leaves me wanting more. Honestly, because you know why? Like I see like this, even the C9 versus Navi game the other day, to use as an example. First game, C9 dominates. Second game, Navi kicks back with an even more dominant fashion. And honestly, this series as a whole just reminds me of a similar thing. Because Empire, they dominated that first game pretty hard. It seemed like every single move they did was under their control from minute 1. From a level 1 gank that was initiated or instigated by 3 heroes, they turned it around with just 2. And this game, I think the numbers tell the tale, man. 6-40, that is a massive stomp to the utmost degree, if I can say it that way. And it really does leave me wanting more, but as it stands, you know, the series does come to a close for today, and I'm sure we got some fantastic matches prepared for another day, so we'll have to just wait for that.